Well, hey everybody, it's me, Mitch, and I guess it's showtime. I may as well show my face. There we are. How's everybody doing? Good evening. Good evening and welcome. I think I got all the right buttons pushed. If for some reason you can't hear me or something seems wrong or there's echoes or anything strange, let me know in the chat, would you please? I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Before I go any further, let me get my stupid disclaimer out of the way. Y'all know that I am not a doctor. Don't want to be a doctor. Not these days. Everything I say on any of my videos and my stream is only things that I have personally learned based on the results that I've gotten. And I guess, other than what I think I know, that may be the only thing that I can speak of with any absolute authority. But I can't give you any medical advice. But we're here to talk about nutrition. We're here to talk about health. A lot of the goings-on, the politics of what's going on. I don't know. It just gets more and more complicated every day. Gets more and more complicated every day. I want to talk about my little video from yesterday. And it reminded me of a Rodney Dangerfield quote. One of my favorite from him. And he, a lot of times, would open up his act and say, "I'm okay now, but I was in rough shape yesterday." And that about sums it up, I think. And I don't want to get into all that now, but I do want to talk about that later because it was something, the response I got to that little video about I wake up in the morning and think about quitting YouTube was absolutely incredible. Oh, absolutely incredible. And I have to talk about that. One of the things that I do want to talk about is I want to let me push some buttons here. I want to give a big thank you to our channel members, and I appreciate the support. I really do. We've had a number of new people join up since yesterday, and that was very gratifying to me. My content on YouTube and everything that I do will always be free, except for a few little things that I'm going to do for the private community. One of them is a separate live stream on Thursday evening at 7, where we can all get in and occupy a window in a big chat room and talk to each other face to face. And the other thing I'm going to do is something I tried today, and we'll see how well it worked out. I got adventurous in the kitchen today. Now, that doesn't mean what you think it means. It means I live alone, so how adventurous could I get? But I had been thinking about a little recipe, a simple recipe, that I thought I'd experiment with. I'd never done it before. Never tried it before. But I filmed it. I filmed it because I said, wow, in the 1 in 10 chance that this actually works and comes out edible, it would make a hell of a video, because if it does, it's going to become the favorite of a lot of people out there on carnivore. So I released that video kind of like a sneak preview today to the private community. And I think 18 of them viewed it. I got some good comments on it. But what it is a way to make breaded chicken wings in the air fryer that came out almost indistinguishable from the kind of breaded chicken wings you might get out in a restaurant. I was dumbfounded how good they were. And that video, I'm going to release that tomorrow, probably around 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. And the reason that I release my videos at 2 o'clock in the afternoon is that my YouTube analytics tell me that's when, between 2 and 8 o'clock in the evening, is when most of my viewers are online. I've experimented and released some videos early in the morning, and they don't get a big response right off. And I have learned about YouTube that if your videos don't get a big shot right off the bat, then the algorithm just slows it down. They never go anywhere. So there are things about YouTube and the way YouTube works that you have to learn if you're going to do this. And a lot of these things people don't share because they are maybe trade secrets for some people. But about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to release this video about how to make breaded chicken wings in the air fryer, which are the easiest thing and come out great. They come out great. So I hope you look forward to that and you'll enjoy it. We have a, well, I'll tell you what, let me stop here. Let me have a sip of coffee. I know, I don't even try to be professional show business here. It's just me and my friends getting together. And let me start to say hi to some of the people in the chat because it's already going to get away from me. So let's give it a whirl and see what happens here. We have M2M Games. How you doing? Says, what's up, Mitch? And we have, oh God, I'm not wearing the right glasses here. Metabolic Mama, good afternoon, Mitch, from Southern California. I guess it still is afternoon out there. William McCartney, how you doing? Aurora Speaks, good to see you. Primal Timeline is somebody we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Name is Paul. Richard Williams, I got a question to ask you, my friend. A viewer popped up in my comments named Robert something or other. And he said, hello from Copper Hill, Tennessee. Now, what are the odds of that? So, Richard, is that a second channel that you have under the name Robert somebody or your brother or somebody you know? But I see him in there quite a bit, and he's from Copper Hill, Tennessee. And I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody else from Copper Hill, Tennessee. Now, you said New York, that'd be a different story. Naruto Kun, how are you doing? Linda G stopped in. Bags Pack family, good morning. Yeah, he's over in Indonesia, and it is morning there. And Bags, whether you know it or not, Bags Pack family, and I'm ashamed to admit I forgot his first name, so put it in the chat for me again. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's probably, of all my subscribers, the biggest YouTube guy. He's got a family and he does kind of travel videos, and he's all over the place. And he does some great stuff. So, you know, it's an interesting channel. You might want to subscribe, but he's got like 80,000 subscribers, which puts my little 15 or 16,000 channel into the minor leagues. But good to see you. And he's been a great supporter and a regular viewer of my stuff. I appreciate that. Paul Clark, how you doing? Is that TM Holla? My poor eyes. Got William McCartney. Hi, David Moore. How you doing? Rusty Shackelford, good to see you. Oscar Rodriguez is here. See some of the same names. Cara from Louisiana. How you all are down there? We got the Infringinators in the house. Rocket 99, how you doing? How you doing? We have Fred is with us. Probably not the only Fred on YouTube. Cheryl Edwards, good to see you. I don't know if I can even pronounce this, SM00V42A. Your mother was thinking strange things when she named you. Coco, great to see you. How you doing? DM Holla, 5x5. Good, good. And BB1 Mac, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Victory is here, and Jennifer, my friend from Texas, good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. And we have another COA 106. Good to see you. I'm trying not to do the same twice. Randy Stevens. Randy from Michigan, 70 years old, inspired by your testimony, lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I'm on board. Good for you. Good for you. I need to come up with a word like Ken Berry's huzzah. I need to come up with something of my own. Don't like to plagiarize. Let's see who else we got here that I haven't mentioned. Marsha Moorman, good to see you from Oklahoma. Good news. And my buddy, my old buddy Art, Artco Drone Solutions. Boy, that takes me back. How you doing, Art? Good to see you. Art keeps sending me invitations to come on his drone live stream, and I never seem to get around to it. But I promise you, Art, I'll do it one night. I promise you. I promise you. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is okay. And we have Craig Smith here. Good to see you. Secret Squirrels in the house. And I don't know if I got John Mendoza all right, but he calls me Pops. He's the only one. My son calls me Pop, but not Pops. Close. We got Andrew H. Good to see you. Good to see you. And formerly, Andrew, you changed your channel name. Used to be Newsflash, y'all. Yeah, good. Now it's something else for me to remember. We got Jim Pollock. Good evening. I'm well. Appreciate your recipes. You're going to love this one tomorrow. I'm telling you. And Jeff Foltz, good to see you in Batavia, Ohio. Wow, we got them from all over. We got them in Indonesia. We got Paul Primal Timeline is over there in Australia. And Linda G, thank you so much, Linda. Linda has become a new channel member. I appreciate that. Aurora Speaks. Richard Williams. I need to find this person. Copper Hill is a small town. Be great to have a carnivore buddy. Yeah. If he ever, I don't know, I'll try to hook the two of you up. Next time I see him with a comment, I'll give him your name and maybe he can figure out who you are. And the two of you can get together and go out and get a ribeye or something. That'd be great. We have Naomi Jones. How you doing? Wow, we got a big crowd here tonight for just starting out. Got over 100 people already. Man, I need to make more of those I'm going to quit YouTube videos. I swear, most of the influencers make one of those. It's like a going out of business sale, you know. It's not for real, but that's why I was very careful how I worded the title. I didn't say I want to quit YouTube. I'm going to quit YouTube. I said every morning when I get up, I think about it. And that, trust me, was not clickbait. And it was no lie. It's the first thought that I have when I get up in the morning, when I get to my computer and I look at the graphs and charts. I say, why the hell am I doing this? But you guys told me why I'm doing this, and it over 400 comments later, all of which I read and tried to answer. I was up till late at night last night just answering comments. You reminded me why I'm doing this. I know why I'm doing it, but I had forgotten how much you've told me it means to all of you. And it's like when I first started this thing, after a while and after the grind, you kind of lose that feeling of being appreciated, and it starts to turn more into being used. And I don't mean by my viewers, but I mean by the powers that be, by YouTube, by all the things that work against us to keep us small and keep us down. But you guys really reminded me, and early on in the comments, I just threw off that thought of quitting this. I enjoy it too much, and the fact that so many people telling me that they're being helped by what I do, and the others too. I decided that what I need to do is stop trying to do a video every day for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is it's just too damn much work. It's too much work. By shooting the video and hooking all the cameras up to the computer, transferring the files over, getting them all into an editor, spending an hour or two trying to make a decent presentation out of it, rendering it out. Then the half hour to 45 minutes you got to sit there while it uploads to YouTube. And then the pages of information you got to fill out on YouTube. I mean, and trying to get all that done by 2 o'clock in the afternoon and have a life besides. Because if it gets too late, no sense posting it. And for 4 months, I've been doing just about every day, including the weekends and the live streams. If I was 35 years old, it'd still be a lot of work. But for me, it's a lot of work, and I get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and I get right to it. And then people say to me, well, why aren't you on Twitter? Why aren't you on Instagram? Why aren't you on all these other channels? And I'm saying to myself, Jesus, it's all I can do to do this, just to be on YouTube. So I'm not going anywhere to belay it. If anybody thought, I tried to answer everybody and tell them that I'm just going to cut back. I've come up with a kind of a tentative schedule. The holidays are going to screw everything up anyway. What I plan to do is I plan to release a video on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. On the days when I have my live streams, I'm not going to put out a video, unless it's a very short topical thing that happens to pop up and I want to comment on it. Kind of like Shawn Baker's videos, where they're a minute or 2, 3 minutes long. There's not a lot of fancy editing. There's just him standing there talking, making a point. Those are valuable because they're timely. And I might pop up now and then with one of those, but to make a video about a recipe or different thoughts that I have on different things, I want to stretch it out over and give myself 2 days to put that together. I think I won't overwhelm everybody. I think I've been doing too much. I think people might have been getting a little bored. Maybe not, but so it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I may do one on the weekend, one day on the weekend, maybe. If I got something that I think is a great idea and might be helpful to everybody and something they'd be interested in watching. But that's what it's going to be. That's still a hell of a lot more than most YouTubers do. YouTube tells you that you should put out at least one video a week. Well, I'd be sleeping if I did that. So that's what it's going to be from here on out. I wanted to get it out there in public, and that's all we need to say about that. So let me get rid of this. I didn't realize that I still had that screen up there. I'm sorry. You should be seeing me, not that. That's one of the things about being a one-man producer and everything here is sometimes I have so many different little images to look at up there. I end up looking at the wrong one. I see just my face, but I don't realize that there's a screen right next to it that shows me what's going out on the stream, and I have to pay more attention to that. So we'll do that. I still got Jeff's thing up there. Gonna get that down, and we got Boyd Lambs here. How you doing, Boyd? Good to see you. And Pa Beater, Wunderbar. Ah, speaks German. We got Cindy. Cindy, 63 and been eating carnivore for over a year now. Congratulations. If you made it a year, you are a carnivore. You are a carnivore. Let's see, who else we got new here? Kathy McGinnis, did I say hi to you? I don't think so. There's Paul, the Primal Timeline. You guys are starting to talk to each other now. And I think Darrell Tolliver, we don't want you to leave. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Imagine if you woke up one morning, open your email, and you saw 400 emails that you needed to pay attention to and read. And some of you guys, why you haven't written novels yet, I don't know. But you would not believe some of the posts that people put up, and they're wonderful, but they're long, and you got to read it all. How can you answer something unless you understand what the question was or what the point they're trying to make is? And I got to tell you, something that was so gratifying for me, hardly any negative comment. One negative comment in all of that. And it really wasn't all that negative. Some guy came on and told me that I needed to grow up and stop whining. And he told me what you need to do is, and if you ever want to get on my really good side, start a sentence with, you need to. Because at my age, there's only one living human being on the planet that knows what I need to do, and you're looking at him. So I wrote. My answer back was, I said something snide about I'm not inclined to be nice when you include the phrase "you need to" in your comment. I left it at that. So I don't even remember who it was. I don't care, but I think that's a little presumptuous. I don't mind suggestions. I got all kinds of suggestions. What you might do is, might be a good idea is, but there are certain things and certain ways to tell people things where you don't come off as bossy. And after a certain age, you, if nothing else in this world, you've earned the right not to be bossed around. Andrew H. has been a member of the private community for a month. How you doing? And he says, high cholesterol should curtail your depression. Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight was cholesterol, because that's always something that comes up in our community. Candid one, it's all good, Mitch. You're one of the few bearers out there spreading the goodwill. Yeah, thank you. I try. And I think T.M. Holla, Bagsback Family, William, I think I'm seeing the name. Andrew H. gifted me one membership. Wow, Andrew, that's fabulous. I don't even know what that means. Does that mean I can, I'll find out later, but nobody's ever done that before. I didn't even know you could do that. So that, I guess, means that I have a membership that I can give away to somebody for free. That's tremendous of you, man. That's tremendous. I appreciate that. Now I have to figure out what it is. We have Monkey. Hey, Monkey, here you go. Let's where is it? Hold on a minute. Hold on. Oh, I know what's going on here. Yeah, hang on a second here. Let me do this. Yeah, there you go. Just for you, Monkey. That's my monkey. His name is Spanky. Spanky was my sidekick in the drone videos and drone live streams that I did. There's something very calming and peaceful about just sitting there watching this monkey go about his business. Really cool. I stopped using them on these live streams because I did have a comment from one person saying that the monkey was childish and I need to get rid of it. So I got rid of it. But give me a clue. You like the monkey or not? No big deal. He can come and go. He can sit up on my shoulder if I want him to. Doesn't hurt anybody. Just sits there chewing and looking around. Ah, monkey. Primal time. We got anybody new on that side? Okay, let me try to catch up in the chat here. If I missed you in the opening, with all the people we got here, the opening could take the whole deal. It's almost half hour gone already. If you have a question that you want to ask me, make sure you, in caps, put either QQQ or the word question in front of it. So as I'm strolling down the chat, because most of you are chatting to yourselves. And when you're chatting to yourselves, I don't know if it's for me or not, and it'll take a lot of my time just to read it. Music is great. Are you the one playing keyboard, Mitch? Yeah, that's me. I've got brave one day, and I said, I'm a hack pianist. I taught myself. I've been doing it all my life. I was a guitarist in my childhood and teenage years, and played in bands and did all that kind of stuff. But my sister took piano lessons, and we had a piano at home, and I found myself banging on the piano more than the guitar. And I play by ear, and I just started playing and been doing it all my life. And I find it's very relaxing to sit down for a half an hour, and I just pick songs out of my head and figure out the chords and learn songs. So I made a video of me playing the piano. Like I said, it took a lot of guts. I know that any real pianist out there is probably laughing his ass off, or hers. And somebody compared me to, what's her name, Steak and Butter Gal, who is a fabulously accomplished classical pianist. And comparing me to her in piano playing ability is like comparing a 40-year-old junk car to a brand new Rolls Royce. It's a whole different thing. But she's been doing that all of her life as a focus. I'm sure you don't get that good by not practicing hours and hours every day. Cheryl Edwards from Wisconsin, we got that. Primal Timeline, talking to Andrew, and Metabolic Mama. Anybody in green that's in the chat is a member of the private community, and our live streams are starting to get pretty good. And speaking of that, there's something I want to show you and talk to you about, and that is the Primal Timeline. His name is Paul. He's over in Australia. He's much younger than me. I forgot, I think he's in his late 40s, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, I'm sorry I made you older or younger than you are, Paul, but he came on to the private live stream with us last Thursday, and we had just a great conversation. And Paul, for a living, works for a TV network as an editor. And comparing my editing talent to the talent of somebody that actually works in the broadcast or film industry and does editing, it's the same comparison. And he's a carnivore, and he is announcing his channel. And if I can help give him a kick, man, it'll just make me happy. Just make me happy. We need more great and talented people on YouTube spreading this message. I don't care about the competition. That's something that came up as well, the competition. There's a lot more carnivore people because a lot of people are doing carnivore. And everybody doing it just wants to be a YouTube star for some reason. But I don't think that's the prime motive. I think the prime motive is like me. They're just so amazed that YouTube is, a better way to spread the word than just standing out on a hill somewhere screaming your guts out. So Paul's got a channel, The Primal Timeline. He's launching his channel in January. And editor that he is, he made a video. Now, I have never on my live streams tried to broadcast the sound from a YouTube video, and I think I got it set up right. So I'm gonna run his video, and I'm gonna hope that you can hear it, and tell me if you can't hear it. I'll try to figure out another way to do it. So there we are, and I'm gonna take the mute off, and I'm gonna hit play, and let's see if we can hear this. And I'm gonna play the trailer that this professional editor has done.
For millions of years, we survived and thrived by eating what nature provided. And then
Rather Moorish, don't you think?
it all changed. But there's an answer. Together, we can change the future of human health. This is the Primal Timeline.
How great was that? How great was that? I'm just awestruck by the job he did. I'm sure that it took him longer than the hour or so that it takes me to throw one of my videos together. But I think his channel is going to be great to watch. And if any of us that have a following can give him a boost, I'm proud to be the first. I hope I'm the first. I think he's got 200 or 300 subs now, but no videos, only a trailer. So look him up on YouTube, The Primal Timeline. His trailer's there. And he did an absolutely fabulous job of making that. And I wanted to feature that tonight. I wanted everybody to see that. It's really, really good. Even Bags Pack Family liked it. What do you think? Very nice. So you could hear it. There was no echoes or any problems with it. That's great. That's great. Holy heck. Thanks, Mitch. Yeah. Hey, my pleasure, man. Thank you. Thank you for supporting what I'm doing and helping me out. And once you get your little channel going, man, we will do a collaboration, and we'll make a video together and do an interview kind of thing. So got that out of the way. But I really, when I saw that, he emailed it to me today, and when I saw that, I said, wow, I have got to show that, because that is the editing that he, that in his business, they just take for granted, that kind of stuff. But I've done that kind of editing for commercial customers that when I used to do a lot of commercial video work and drone video work, and you could spend days doing something like that. And if you got a commercial, I don't know if you realize this or not, but if you got a commercial customer that needs a video produced for a commercial, it's not uncommon for those things to start. And it may be higher than this now because I've been out of it I haven't done that for quite a while, but it is not unreasonable for a video like that to start at least $1,000 a finished minute and go up from there as high as $5,000 or $10,000 to produce a 1-minute video of that quality. So kudos, man. Paul, I'm a fan. I'm going to hire you for $3 a video. You can do all mine. I'll just send you the raw footage. How's that? Mitch of all trades, Andrew H. says, yeah, I've done. There's very little I haven't done. Maybe I get bored with things too easily. There you go, Pete. There's subbing all over. Why did I call you Paul? It's Pete. I have an excuse. I'm almost 77 years old, and I still have a hard time remembering names, which I've always had. So we will get it. But you're going to see some subscribers. I got 124 viewers right now, but I'll end up with 1,000 or 1,500 people watching this live stream after the fact. So don't be surprised if you have over 1,000 subs within a couple of weeks. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. What else did I have to talk about here? I had already talked about our private community. I talked about the video that I'm putting out tomorrow so you guys can make the most amazing wings. I even said in the video that, I like my wings dry. I don't like them with all this sauce on them. But if you take butter, melted butter, and put some paprika or cayenne pepper or some other kind of stuff, maybe it's not pure carnivore, but you can make a dipping sauce for these things. They were great. They were great. I'm not going to eat them any more than maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks because I eat mostly bacon, eggs, and beef. But it's just nice sometimes to have something different, and they just came out good. Wait till you see what they looked like. Wait till you see. Naruto-kun says, I was going to talk about cholesterol. Yeah, I can. Plus, I made your wings in the Z-Star. Yummy. That Z-Star, I love that thing. You can't find them, though. Every time I look, they're out of them on Amazon. It's a shame. It's a shame. Cholesterol. There's a subject. And again, I'm not a doctor. And I'm not a research guy like Ben Bickman or any of these guys that's been working for years and years in a lab on lipid research. But I understand the basics. It seems like I understand the basics more than my own doctor does. Because when I start talking to her about what's really going on with lipidology, I get the deer in the headlights look. I mean, it's scary. But they're not supposed to know this stuff. They're never taught this stuff. Back when so many of these people went to school, they didn't even know enough about it to teach it yet. And you know that for something to get into a curriculum, that doesn't happen until way down the road when it becomes conventional wisdom. And we're a long way from that because there's too many forces allied against us to keep this from becoming conventional wisdom, because it would absolutely put all the drug companies and half the food companies out of business, which would ruin the economy in this country, and we'd have a real problem. So the dynamics of the infrastructure to supply all the labor and delivery and advertising and everything else that goes with pushing the current state of food in this country can't just go away. It can't go away. We can't all start eating cows. There's not enough cows to feed everybody in this country for a day. I mean, we'd eat up all the cows in a day. It's crazy. So everything's got to change gradually. It took 100 years to get us into this mess, and I'm afraid it's going to take 100 years to get us out, which is why we're the rebels. Too many people, their livelihoods and their money and their reputations and everything else depend on people thinking that what they're doing is what they're supposed to be doing, eating plenty of those healthy fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and avoiding the red meat because everybody knows it gives you heart attacks. Well, this whole cholesterol thing, we've talked a lot, and I've done a number of videos about how all this actually came into public acceptance. We talked about how the vegetarian movement got started with the religious people, with the Seventh-day Adventists, with John Harvey Kellogg and the advent of breakfast cereals. And this stuff's all documented. It's not just a conspiracy theory. It's actually historical fact. We talked about Ansel Keys, who by himself decided that cholesterol caused heart attacks because they found cholesterol in the arteries of people that had had heart attacks, and right away they thought that had to be what it is. And along with that, they demonized saturated fat because they were all vegetarians and they didn't want people eating saturated fat. So one thing led to another, and here we are. The only thing missing from all of that history are any legitimate, and I say legitimate because I mean scientifically legitimate, randomized control trials that prove causality between cholesterol and heart disease or saturated fat and heart disease. And yet there are any number of legitimate scientific studies that weren't funded by somebody with a big agenda that show the opposite. There are so many studies that show the opposite that in 2015, the American Heart Association buried in the fine print of, I think it was their annual report, that saturated fat is no longer a nutrient of concern. And I think that's exactly what it said. Think about that. 8 years ago, the American Heart Association, who's funded primarily by the drug companies and the big food companies, buried deep in their report, and it wasn't, you really didn't see it on their food pyramid, but it was in the report that saturated fat is no longer a nutrient of concern. Now, to us carnivores, we know that saturated fat is incredibly healthy and good for you. But the word hasn't got to CNN yet. The word has not got to the American Medical Association. It hasn't gotten into the doctors. It hasn't gotten into the medical school curriculums. It hasn't changed anything because of the size of what we're up against. Now, excuse me a second, before this gets cold. Cholesterol is a thing completely separate from saturated fat. And cholesterol is really misunderstood. Cholesterol is a molecule with a certain number of carbon atoms, hydrogen atoms, and oxygen atoms. It's a fatty, waxy substance, and it's used in virtually every cell of our body for any number of purposes. It's like, I kind of liken it to the duct tape of the human body. The cell walls in all of our cells are made of cholesterol. Cholesterol forms the substrate or the basis on which our sex hormones are built. Testosterone, estrogen. It's important, it's so important for brain health that the brain doesn't leave it to the liver to make the cholesterol it needs. It makes its own cholesterol because it uses it for what they call myelin sheaths, which are the insulation around the interconnecting nerves of the brain. Imagine if you had a house with electrical wiring with no insulation, which is all bare copper. It'd be shorting out all the time and causing problems. And this is what happens in humans when there's not enough cholesterol. Your brain stops functioning properly. And I think, and many learned people and very eloquent speakers and doctors and researchers pretty well understand that this is where things like dementia and Alzheimer's and those things come from. And yet, it seems the goal of the entire medical community to try to lower the human race's cholesterol to zero, which would be great, except for the fact we'd all be dead. Not a great outcome. The numbers of what's normal are arbitrary. There has never been a study linking cholesterol, the cholesterol molecule itself, with heart disease. They think they can associate it. But I think it's Paul Mason, and I think that, or Ben Bickman uses the example of a fireman. And it's the greatest example, and I think it's a great way to explain it. Cholesterol is used by the body to repair things. If the linings of your arteries are inflamed, the body's immune system comes into play. Cholesterol is then carried to the site of the injury caused by the inflammation, and it's used to repair the damage. The precursor to heart disease has been shown over and over to be inflammation. So you got all this inflammation, your arteries are getting torn up, your immune system is sending cholesterol to help fix it, and Ancel Keys is blaming the cholesterol for causing the problem. And how that relates to firemen is that that's just like saying, you know, every time I see a fire, there's firemen there. The firemen are causing the fire. No, the firemen are responding to try to fix the fire. So yes, when there is heart disease and there is plaque and there is buildup, there will be cholesterol, but it's the body's attempt to fix it. When calcium calcifies the plaque, and you've probably all heard of a coronary artery calcium score, that's again the body's attempt to stabilize this thing, patch it over, and stop it from getting any worse. But it's inflammation. So the most important thing we can do to prevent heart disease is to do whatever we can to have as little inflammation as we can. And that's where the carnivore diet or a keto diet really shines. And you can measure your inflammation. You can measure white blood cell count. You can measure C-reactive protein, CRP. There's so many ways to measure systemic inflammation. I'm not talking about the inflammation if you cut your finger and it gets red, bleeds, and sore. That's inflammation, but that's the body doing its job. And I guarantee you'll find cholesterol there too. But that's not what we're talking about when we talk about cholesterol, which is what amazes me. It amazes me. We're talking about lipoproteins, which are not cholesterol. And if any of you have been at this long enough, you've seen explanations of lipoproteins ad nauseum. Retired fat guy, how you doing? I just got an email from you. Or a post on the members chat room. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, sir. And I want to get through this explanation without taking all night, but to give you an idea of why I don't worry about my LDL that's almost 300. Because we all have to make our bets. Okay, we have to make a bet. The whole world is telling me that I will die of a heart attack tomorrow with my LDL. And so will Ken Berry, and so will Dave Feldman, and so will Nick Norwitz, and so will all of these other guys that have astronomically high LDL. And so much has come out, and there's so much news that makes so much sense that I've made a bet, and I bet my life on it. I bet my life that they're all wrong, because they're also wrong about grains and being heart healthy and all that other stuff. Why would they be right about this when it was all based on the guess of some egomaniac named Ancel Keys back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s? But lipoproteins, and I'm talking about HDL and LDL, which are the most famous ones. There's also VLDL, ILDL, and there's also different states that these lipoproteins can be in. They can be big and fluffy, they can be small and dense, they can be oxidated, they can be glycated, you can have all kinds of damage to them, which is caused by eating too much sugar, eating too many seed oils, and all kinds of other stuff, which we don't do. We, if we're on carnivore for a while, become metabolically healthy. So while cholesterol might be a concern, and I still don't think it is, for somebody who's not metabolically healthy, I'm convinced it's not a concern. And again, this is my opinion, not giving you medical advice, not telling you to tell your doctor he doesn't know what he's talking about. This is just something I've learned over a lot of years, because I was calling the whole cholesterol thing a hoax 30 years ago, trying to convince people not to take these statins because I was seeing the damage these statins were doing to some people. Again, not medical advice, not telling anybody not to take their prescriptions. These are all personal decisions that we all have to make. Now, what a lipoprotein is, and the way to think about it, it's like a delivery truck. It's like a boat. Because the bloodstream is what carries everything to every cell in our body. It's the superhighway. It's the interstate and it's the back alley, and they're all connected. They're all connected. Think about it. In the United States, every back alley is connected to the interstate that runs through your town. Even if it's 3,000 miles away, there is a connection. There is a path where you can set out on a road trip and end up in that alley 3,000 miles away, never leaving the concrete. That's the bloodstream. It starts out in big arteries, smaller arteries, capillaries, and down at a cellular level, it's being passed one cell at a time through the tiniest, but it has to get to every cell, because otherwise these cells could not get the nutrients that they need. Glucose, or blood sugar, is water soluble, and blood is aqueous, water based. So you can dump glucose in the bloodstream and it'll get everywhere. But cholesterol, triglycerides, fat soluble vitamins, and other compounds that are based on fats are not water soluble, and you all know what happens when you dump some fat into a glass of water. It just clumps up or floats to the top, but it doesn't dissolve. The body cannot transport fat by itself in the bloodstream. So it has a fleet of lipoproteins, which are like boats. The liver loads them up with triglycerides, with cholesterol, with fat-soluble vitamins, with anything that needs to get to the cells, and sends them out like FedEx does. And these little boats travel the bloodstream, get to where they're needed, and unload the fat. They start out as VLDL, very large, very low density lipoproteins. And they're mostly made up of triglycerides. These are fats. But as these VLDLs deliver their cargo, they shrink. They get smaller. They become high intermediate density lipoproteins. Then they become low density lipoproteins. And then they go back to the liver. The HDL, the high density, are different and have a different job. So let's not confuse them with the LDL. It's the LDL that has everybody thinking heart attack all the time. But lipoproteins are transporting triglycerides. So here's what happens. And this, if you all saw this video I made about Nick Norwitz's little experiment about lowering his cholesterol 275 points by eating a sleeve of Oreo cookies every day, it's been observed that the reason that a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people who go on a carnivore diet and stop eating sugar completely, we all have talked a lot about becoming fat burners, about having our metabolism use fat for energy instead of glucose. So it just makes sense to me. And things have to make sense. They have to be logical. If my body is a hybrid, if I can power and make ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the currency, power currency of the body. It's made in the mitochondria of every cell. It can be made from either sugar or it can be made from fat through all of these metabolic pathways that have been defined by everybody, and I read about them and learned how they work. If we're sugar burners, if our diets have just loads of sugar, we're not burning much fat, which is why we can't lose weight, because we need to burn up the fat we're storing, and our bodies just are too busy burning all the sugar we're stuffing into our face and turning a lot of that sugar into fat, saving it up for the hard times. If we are sugar burners, then we have high glucose levels in our bloodstream. We end up with high insulin levels, which create tons of havoc. We become diabetics and all that, and we get fat. But our LDL is low. Our LDL is low. And the reason our LDL is low is since we're not burning any fat, we don't need to move it around. I joke about it. I say, the liver puts in an order. The cells all put in their orders in the morning to the liver and say, I need this much fat for the day. And the liver loads up the trucks and sends them out. But if we're not burning fat, if we're burning sugar, even the word burning is a misnomer, but it's understandable. If we're burning sugar, we aren't ordering the fat from the liver. The liver is not going to make a bunch of delivery trucks that are just going to sit there because there's no demand for the cargo. And the body's going to get most of its energy from the glucose in the blood, from the blood sugar. It's not a healthy way to live, but it's the way we were designed to live in survival mode when we couldn't get the meat and fat. So now you've got a situation where you're running on sugar. You have no need for the lipoproteins in great quantity because you have nothing to deliver. You're running on a high blood sugar, which is creating havoc, and your LDL is low and your cholesterol is low. And the doctors are happy. And since 80% or 90% of the people in this country are living that way, when you take the cholesterol levels of the majority and chart a bell curve, normal is normal for somebody that's metabolically sick. When you find somebody that's metabolically healthy, like these athletic lean mass hyperresponders that they find with LDL levels of 400, 500, 800, and yet no evidence of heart disease whatsoever, it makes the establishment crazy. They can't understand how that could possibly be. The fact is, when you switch over from sugar burning to fat burning, your liver gets busy making more lipoproteins, little boats. Those little boats get filled with more triglycerides, and they get sent around the body, and the cells take them in to use as energy. They're not clogging the arteries. That's perfect health. And the experiments that they're doing, like the one that Nick Norwitz is doing right now, who happens to be an incredible athlete, who can do 400 plus push-ups in one set, and he's a researcher, PhD, he's a third-year medical student at Harvard. This is no dummy. He's the guy working with Dave Feldman on the lean mass hyperresponder, which we're going to get some data on the 8th, and I can't wait to see it. But he did an experiment because his cholesterol is usually over 400, his LDL. And he said, well, if I take 2 weeks and eat a sleeve of Oreos every day, I'll stop burning fat and start burning sugar. My cholesterol should go down. And he lowered his cholesterol by 275 points, which would make his doctor really happy. And in making his doctor happy, he'd be ruining his health. I don't want to go on any more about that because I could do this all night, but I hope that that explanation, I hope that I tried to make it very simple and relatable, but it's why nothing has shown me, no evidence, no tests, no studies. The only studies that they have that show that cholesterol and heart disease are in any way related were paid for by the drug companies, and the results were put out there using relative risk data, not absolute risk, which is a fraud anyway, statistical fraud. So that's it. That's my little cholesterol explanation from a layman who's not a doctor or a research scientist, but I do a shitload of reading and studying. Problem with reading and studying is you have to know that what you're reading and studying is actually valid, because there's no shortage of bullshit information out there everywhere in the world. Your organs and muscles need cholesterol. Yeah. So did I miss any questions in the chat? Did anybody ask me any questions in the chat? At any rate, that's the little short and quick 15-minute description of why I don't worry about cholesterol, and why, if I wanted to lower my LDL from 300 back to 90, I could do it just by cramming my face full of grains and sugars and fruit and all that other stuff, which would make me sick and fat like I used to be. But I'd have a nice low LDL, and my doctor would be proud of me. But they'd probably still recommend statins, because everybody tells these doctors that it's the law. It's the standard of care. I heard Rob Sivas say that he won't recommend statins to people, and he constantly, from the drugstore, when he prescribes anything for anybody with diabetes, he gets a lecture from the drugstore. Doesn't he know that he's supposed to be prescribing statins anytime he's prescribing something for a diabetic? And he shakes his head. And that's the state that we're in. And the way they enforce it is they haul these doctors up before review boards. They've done that publicly, especially in Australia. So they did another experiment. They went to a nursing home, took a bunch of old people who have dementia that were on statins. They took them off their statins for 30 days. I don't know how many of them got better, but a whole lot of them got their cognition back. Some of them went home. But then after 30 days, they put them back on the statins, and they become senile and dementia and Alzheimer's again. Now, to me, that's a study that, that's valid. That's a study that you can trust. Like on carnivore, I had rheumatoid arthritis. That's an autoimmune disease. I had inflammation. I had all kinds of things. Well, once I got metabolically healthy, everything went away. All my pain went away. I don't have arthritis anymore. People with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis are putting that into remission. And that's all about inflammation and sensitivities to certain poisons that aren't meat. There are other kinds of poisons. So anyway, that's the long and the short of that. Let me take a look at the chat real quick here. I still have a touch of cold coffee. Am I boring everybody? I don't think so. I still got 132 people watching. Boy, that's one of my bigger audiences. I need to make a I'm quitting YouTube video more often. Nah, just kidding. Just kidding. Let's see what we got here. Looks like the insurance companies are the ones pushing through the drugstores. Yeah, why the insurance companies? You'd think it would be in the insurance company's best interest to get everybody off of all this expensive medical care, because they're the ones that pay for it. Naruto-kun, you're welcome. I've done more than research. It's been a fascination and an interest of mine all my life. This whole health thing. And I mean, I joined the Atkins bandwagon back in the early 70s. And I've been trying to be low carb since then, but I could never shake my carb addiction. I would always lose the weight, but when I got anywhere near the weight and I started to look good in the mirror, I rewarded myself. I'll just have a little bit of pizza and maybe some ice cream, and then the next thing you know, I'm 50 pounds heavier again. And I up and down all my life. I've told my life story so many times on YouTube, in live streams and in videos. It's no secret. Question, Naruto-kun, if you have the time, could you please tell me what are some of the negative side effects? Well, that's pretty well documented. I mean, if you ever just look it up on YouTube, look it up on Google. One of the major side effects is muscle pain and muscle damage. Diabetes is one of the major. It doubles the incidence of diabetes. They're also showing that the increased risk of mental disorders, and that makes a lot of sense to me. But it's just fooling with Mother Nature. I don't know how many of you were old enough to remember the "Don't Fool with Mother Nature" commercial. And the funny thing is, ironically, it was a commercial for margarine, not butter. And they had this woman dressed up. She was Mother Nature, and she would say, "Don't fool with Mother Nature." Well, that's what we're doing. We are organisms that have survived the test of time and slowly fine-tuned themselves to be able to survive in the surroundings that we have, with the food that we have. Imagine if the atmosphere of Earth tomorrow changed drastically and there was no oxygen, but there was some other gas in it. We would all be dead within 3 minutes. We breathe oxygen because our whole physiology is based on oxygen and hydrogen and water and carbon. And what a lot of people don't realize, it's not nice to fool Mother Nature. Yes, Jeanette, that's what she said. It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. God, I'm sure that's on YouTube. I'm sure we could go to YouTube and get that old commercial. One thing that I've never heard scientists say, and it's one of the most obvious things about all of human physiology, is that with the exception of a few minerals, and we all talk about the minerals, the electrolytes, iron, calcium, potassium, magnesium, sodium. Can you get significant potassium on carnivore? You can, but most of us supplement with a electrolyte drink because the soils are getting depleted of that stuff and it's sometimes not getting into the animal. But I know that bacon, for example, one strip of Wright's bacon is like 90 milligrams of potassium. Of course, you need 4,000 a day, I think. But I take the supplements and I keep tabs on my blood work and my potassium. My electrolyte levels are always normal. But if you look at the human body and you want to know what we're built of, if you take the few trace minerals out, and they really are trace, and they're used in a lot of reactions, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, what's left? What's left is just about all carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. That's it. That's what you're made of. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen primarily. If you look at molecular diagrams of sugars, they're only made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen and arranged in a certain way. You take those same carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms, arrange them a little differently, and now they're fats. They're the same basic building blocks. Some of that water, some of that hydrogen and oxygen may exist in your body in the form of water. And the water comes and goes, and the water is a byproduct of cellular respiration. We take in oxygen, we eat food, sugar and fat, goes through our cells to the mitochondria, goes through the electron transport chain. When it's all done, out comes ATP, which is the currency, energy currency that the body uses to power all those little molecular protein machines, and water and CO2, which is also just carbon and oxygen. So you take in water, you take in food, you take in oxygen, it goes through the machinery of life and comes out as carbon dioxide, which we exhale, and water, which comes out the other end. That's why the body can convert these things so easily. It can convert a sugar to a fat because they're all built out of the same things. It's just like rearranging building blocks. It's complicated as hell, but it's well understood now. And so much of the things that we're doing in medicine they just don't jive with the reality of what we've known for 100 or more years. It gets frustrating. Let's see here. What do we got? We got Randy K. retracted his message. Hi, Randy. How you doing? Oh, I wanted to show you one other thing, which I thought was interesting, and I'm going to show you this. This was sent to me by, hang on a second here. Let me look. Where was this? I get so many emails. At any rate, one of my viewers sent this to me, and I want to give him credit for it. So hang in there with me for a second. It was William Tanner sent this to me. Thank you, William. And what he did was he asked GPT, please tell me the benefits about the carnivore lifestyle. Okay, so now he's talking to artificial intelligence, and he asked, what are the benefits of a carnivore lifestyle? And ChatGPT told him the carnivore diet, which focuses exclusively on animal products, has gained popularity in certain circles. Here are some of the potential benefits often cited by its proponents. So right away they've qualified this. They're basically saying what we're going to tell you now is from the proponents of the carnivore. So it's obvious what they're going to say. Simplicity and ease, weight loss, blood sugar control, reduced inflammation, mental clarity, gut health, muscle mass and strength, satiety, and reduced cravings. Now, all that is true, I think. I think all of that is true. I've experienced pretty much all of that, even at my advanced age. But then came the disclaimer at the bottom. It is important to note that the carnivore diet is a topic of debate among nutritionists and health professionals. While some people report positive outcomes, there is a lack of long-term scientific studies on its effects. Potential risks include nutrient deficiencies, such as fiber, vitamins, and minerals found in plants, increased cholesterol levels, and impacts on heart health. As with any diet, it is recommended to consult with a healthcare provider before making any significant dietary changes. And there you have it. Okay? There you have it. That's what we're up against, folks. That's the message. Carnivore has nutrient deficiencies, has no fiber, vitamins or minerals found in plants. Where anybody that's been on the carnivore diet for long enough can tell you that it's the only place to get all the nutrients that you need. There is a lack of long-term scientific studies, it says. Who would possibly pay for the studies to prove that the carnivore diet is the healthiest way to live? And how many years would these studies have to go on to really prove, to actually prove with a randomized control trial? It would have to go on 10, 20 years. It would actually, the end point would be death. So it would have to be a lifetime study. So yes, there are no studies because it doesn't fit into anybody's agenda to prove that what they're, the big companies that are funding all the other studies. But what they don't tell you in this disclaimer is there are no studies proving it doesn't work. There are no studies comparing a plant-based diet to a carnivore diet over a long period of time in human beings with expected outcomes. It would take a lifetime. Bart Kay eloquently talks about what that study would have to look like, and it would be multiple sets of identical twins whose lives were regulated so that nothing was different about either of them except the one thing they were trying to prove or disprove, and they'd have to be locked up in a facility for their entire life, and the end point was who died first. And even then, maybe it was something else. Maybe it was something else. All these studies out there that tell you, like the last one that came out of Harvard from Walter Willett. Red meat causes diabetes. On its face, that is such a farce. You can say anything, and you can make headlines out of anything. And when you make headlines out of stuff like that, you see them on CNN and ABC and CBS. And then 2 weeks later, people are saying, well, everybody knows that eating red meat causes diabetes. It's just wrong. There's no basis in fact. And the way they base those studies is they start the study and configure it to prove that one point. So they ask people what they eat. And people say, well, I go to McDonald's every day and I eat a Big Mac, large order of fries, chocolate shake. Okay, that's red meat. What? Well, what'd you have for dinner last night? Well, I had a pizza. Well, did it have any pepperoni on it? Well, yeah. Okay, that's red meat. So they get all these results of these things, and they count all the sugar, all the starch, all the grains, all the seed oils, and everything else as red meat. Well, yes, you eat all that crap, it's going to cause diabetes. Do they have any cohort in that study that only ate the patties and didn't eat the fries and the shakes and the desserts and all the other crap and the seed oils? No. So how can you even take seriously a study that calls a pizza with pepperoni red meat? You can't. Does anybody talk about this? No. But you'll hear about it on CNN. You'll hear the headline, red meat causes diabetes, and the next thing you know, it becomes part of the conventional wisdom. And it's sick. It's very sad. People aren't thinking, and the average guy walking around out there, what does he know? He doesn't know his liver from his spleen, for God's sakes. How the hell? Is he going to understand? You know, he got lost in third grade when they tried to teach him how to subtract. He only cares about who's winning American Idol and where's the next beer coming from. You know, I mean, and you know, more power to him, but he shouldn't, you know, these guys shouldn't be, people like that should not be making health decisions for the rest of us. Mama Cracker says, where's the beef? Supersize me. Yeah, I remember that slogan, beef, real food for real people. And listen, the beef industry isn't stepping up to the plate either, which is something I never understood. Jennifer from Texas says, caveman didn't need a study. No, cavemen didn't need anything. All they did, they ate what was available and what tasted good to them and what made them feel good. But the fact is, and this is the fact that people forget these days, they forget 50,000, let's just go back 50,000 years. Forget the 3 million years. I mean, we've been human, genus Homo, for 2.5, 3 million years. You know, think about the length of time that is. We've been basically civilized in the agriculture age for, 10,000 years? Well, how many times does 10,000 go into 3 million? 300 times. So 1/300th of the time our physiology was evolving and developing and fine-tuning itself to what nature offered us in our environment to breathe, drink, and eat. 299 out of those 300 periods of time, including the time we were living in caves 30, 40, 50,000 years ago, we were eating meat, drinking water, we had salt, and we had no 7-Elevens and no Walgreens and no supplements and no nothing. And because somehow that lineage survived, we're alive today. But we're alive today, and this is the part that people forget. We're alive today and carry the programming, the genetic instructions, almost identical to those cavemen living 50,000 years ago. And in those genetic instructions, there is no map that shows where the 7-Elevens are. There is none of that. And all of that stuff in the past 100 or 200 years that we have fabricated and call food is pretty much unknown as food to the machinery. If I told you, you don't need to use gasoline in your car. Hell, gasoline's expensive. Just fill your tank with water. It'll work. You'd think I was crazy. My car won't run on water. Well, okay, don't use water. Why don't you put diesel fuel in your gasoline car? That's fuel, isn't it? Trucks run on it. Well, my car won't run on diesel fuel. Well, I don't understand why. A truck runs on diesel fuel. Why won't your car? We can't run on this crap we're fueling ourselves with. All it does is gum up the works, screw up the machinery. And if you ever, as a kid, put sugar in somebody's gas tank and trash their whole engine, you'll understand exactly what sugar is doing to your human body. And interestingly enough, the sugar is all carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and so is the gasoline you put in your car. It's just a different molecule, and it doesn't chemically react the same way. So our machinery was basically built and designed well over 50,000 years ago, and it needs to run on the fuel it evolved to run on. And anything else just poisons us. And that's what poisoning is. You put sugar in the gas tank of your car, you will poison your car, and it will die. Now, we've tried to adapt to a lot of this stuff, and we do have the ability to adapt, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. And if we happen to survive another 50 or 100,000 years, maybe our children's children's children down the road will actually be genetically ready to use sugar as the primary fuel, and maybe fat will kill them, but not us. Not us. Those changes haven't happened yet, and the changes in genetics are very, very slow. In fact, when they dig up the fossils of our ancestors that lived 100,000, 200, 300,000 years ago, and they've dug up a lot of that stuff. And even that is a short blip in time compared to just how recently the dinosaurs lived. That's 65 million years ago. So there's an awful lot of time between the dinosaurs getting wiped out and all the tiny little shrews and other mammals that managed to live through that Holocaust becoming what the animal kingdom is today. When they dig up the bones of these people and they extract some genetic material, maybe from some collagen or something, maybe not 300,000 years old, but I know they have found Neanderthal DNA from 30, 40, maybe 50. I think 40, 50,000 years ago is when they went extinct. Instructions aren't all that different. They aren't all that different. And they don't change that fast. They don't. And we have not changed enough to thrive on this crap that we're eating. Anyway, that's enough about that. I could go on forever. But when somebody tells me that there's no proof that carnivore works, I'm looking at a community of tens of thousands of people who have gotten off their diabetes drugs, have gotten out of the wheelchairs, whose dementia's gone away, and are eating food they're meant to, and their body's working. And the reason I started this YouTube channel was to give everybody a little hope that I don't care how old you are, it's never too late. I started carnivore, I was 75 years old and sick and overweight, and it has given me a new life. And I mean, I'm as close to an evangelist about that as there can be. Oh, retired fat guy, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, Mitch. Thanks for all your hard work. Love your message. Thank you, my friend. That was very generous of you. I appreciate that. You guys, I wanted to talk about the response to my video, and then I'm going to call it a night. An hour and a half goes by like this. It's amazing. But first, some San Pellegrino, the fabulously sophisticated bubbly water from Italy. Nothing but the best for me. So, I started this whole live stream by saying my Rodney Dangerfield line. I'm okay now, but I was in rough shape yesterday. Well, I woke up the other morning and I looked at the numbers, and I see my videos are struggling, and that chart that I put on the thumbnail of that video is the actual chart from my analytics on YouTube, and it shows nothing but downhill over the last 4 months. Where I used to get, and if you look at my older videos, I have one that's 180,000 views now. I have a bunch of them that are 30, 40, 50,000 views, and I had 2,000, 3,000 subscribers back then. And I noticed that the more subscribers I get, the less views I get on a video. And I'm saying, well, there's something wrong. And is it this censorship thing? Is Berg really correct? Is that, is that going on? Who knows what's going on with those things? Even the guys at YouTube don't know everything that stupid algorithm is doing. I don't even think the algorithm knows, if you could ask it. It's looking at 100,000 different factors and trying to figure out what to do. If a YouTube video isn't presented to somebody in their feed, nobody will watch it. And when I first started out, I was getting 500,000 impressions. They call that an impression. An impression is where a video is put into somebody's recommended viewing tab based on the fact that they view similar channels with similar messaging. So if you watch a lot of car videos, you're going to get mostly car videos. If you watch travel videos, you're going to see mostly travel videos and cruise videos. And you don't have to watch very many. You watch 3 or 4 car videos, half your feed full of car videos, because the algorithm knows everything. Every time you press a key, it gets stored away. And that information is used. Because YouTube wants to keep you watching YouTube videos as long as they can, because they get a chance to present ads to you and they get paid. It benefits YouTube to keep you on their platform. The overriding main goal of the algorithm that decides who gets to see what on YouTube is always trying to maximize the amount of time everybody who's logged in stays on YouTube. They want you to enjoy yourself. They want you to be interested. They want you to not just click away from videos. They want you to stay and watch the whole video, especially if there's mid-roll ads. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. But I was wondering, why the hell, what's wrong? So the first thing that I always do, unlike most people, is I don't find somebody to blame. My first question is, what am I doing wrong? I always look inward first. And I said to myself, what am I doing wrong? If obviously one or two things is happening. People are not watching because they're not clicking on my videos when they go by, or my videos aren't being presented to them. And yet when I talk to people and I read the comments, it's nothing but praise. And then the amount of likes that I get on my videos are astronomical compared to what the average is. So I said, well, maybe it's this censorship thing. Then I heard somebody in one of the comments suggested, some other YouTuber, that the more subs you get, the less YouTube recommends you to new people, because they feel you've got people that are going to watch your stuff. They'll present your videos to them, and that may be what it is. And we make a little money, and that's important to me, and I'm watching the amount of money. The most money I made in YouTube was the first month. And it keeps going down, 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 and down. And that's ad revenue, and it's not much, but... And I just got pissed off. I said, why the hell am I doing this? And that's something that I would feel every morning. And I had no intention of making that video. But I was about to go in and have some breakfast, and I said, you know what? I had made that video 2 or 3 times. I just never edited it. I just erased it. It was terrible. I didn't like the way I came off, and I wasn't getting the message across that I wanted to. But I said, I'm going to give this another try, and I did it. And I titled the video, I wake up every morning wanting to quit YouTube, and I put in the title of the video, "This is not clickbait," because it wasn't. But wow, I don't know what happened. I'm still at a loss. Not only, that thing's got 60-some hundred views now in a day. I got over 400 comments, all of them just glowing, and made me feel great. But the most amazing thing, the strangest thing that happened was, I'm going to go look at the analytics for that video right here. I have gained 100 new subscribers from that video. When previous to that, over the last month, I only gained a couple tops. Sometimes I would lose subscribers when I put out a video. I gained 98 subscribers on that one video, 6.4 thousand views, 757 watch hours of time. And the comments on that video took me hours and hours, and I read every one of them and I answered every one of them. And it was incredible. And I got, what it did to me was it gave me back that feeling that I had when I first started, that I tried to express way back then. I thought way back then, 4 months ago. Back then, when I thanked everybody for changing my life, because, you know, I said, now I have purpose. Well, I was really starting to doubt that and really getting down about it. And when you're down, it's tough to perform, tough to be enthusiastic. Certainly tough to be funny. I like to be funny. But that did it. I don't know why. I don't know who to thank for it or who to blame, but it's you guys. It's you. It's all of you guys that almost came to my rescue. And after reading all those comments and answering half of them, I said to myself, you can't stop doing this. You just got to slow down a little bit. Take some of the pressure off, because that pressure every day of 2 o'clock coming along and having to have a video done and ready to upload, it was just getting too much. I was having no life outside of YouTube, and that's not good either. So I told you in the beginning of this thing that I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll put out a video. If I miss a day, I'll miss a day, but I'm pretty reliable when it comes to schedules. I'll do the live stream on Tuesday night, the private community members live stream. Maybe once a week, one of those videos that I do, I'll shoot it out there to the channel supporters, to the private members, for like a sneak peek the day early, because I want to do something for them. I hope that the reason they're members of the channel is to support me in this effort and show their love, not for the perks and benefits, because that's not what I'm about. I'm not selling myself here. But I do appreciate any support that I get. It helps. Julie says, yes, he does. Dr. Kiltz knows his stuff. Yeah, Kiltz, I like Kiltz. He's a little strange, but anybody who does a live stream every morning at 5 o'clock is, I don't know. But he, I think he does know his stuff. I think he does. At any rate, that's what happened. And here I am tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to share my breaded chicken wing video with you all, and you're going to be so excited. It's so cool, and they came out so good, and it's so easy and quick that I hope you all enjoy it. Andrew says, Mitch, I bought the burger press. That burger press is great. I had that thing for a year and I never used it. And then I started, when I got really into carnivore, I said, well, why am I squishing them down with my hands when I got this beautiful burger press that makes perfect patties as thick as you want them? And I started using it. Oh, Andrew's shopping my list. Yeah, that's right. I haven't plugged my my list yet. So let's plug my list here. Go back to my website. Yeah, this video is sponsored by me. Okay, links to stuff I use every day, and these are the things that I use. There's electrolytes, magnesium citrate capsules, the J. Crow's 2% Lugol's iodine is there, the keto pork rind breadcrumbs that I use in the recipe tomorrow is there. This is some grass-fed ghee I get. This is smoked salt. This stuff is great on ribs. I had them for dinner tonight. I actually went a day without eating bacon, eggs, or beef. I hope I'm alive tomorrow. I ate chicken wings for lunch, and I ate a rack of ribs for dinner. But the ribs, the way I cook them, the way I did it in my last video with the smoked salt are great. There's the Redmond salt. There's the Himalayan pink salt. Sometimes I use this Kinder's, but not very much anymore. And I do buy these Wild Planet anchovies in water, and I make an omelet out of them at least once a month, maybe every couple of weeks. These are the vacuum sealers that you have to have almost if you're going to buy meat in any quantity. The sous vide cooker and the accessories. My favorite, Dubai Mineral B carbon steel frying pan, which is like is going to be a family heirloom. This Mueller 12-inch German stone coating. There's no poop, no chemicals, no nothing. It's perfectly safe, and wow, is it great for cooking eggs and bacon. But I use bacon grease anyway. This is a sous vide bag, so I don't have to sous vide stuff in plastic. This is silicone, and nothing comes off of it and pollutes the food. This is a great little gadget that I found to collect bacon grease in, and my salt shakers, and my meter, which is a Bluetooth digital thermometer, and this air fryer that they never have in stock, and there's the hamburger, there's the burger press right there, Weston Burger Press. There's some t-shirts on here. I even put, everybody kept asking me what cameras I use, so I put links to the different cameras that I use here. Not that I expect anybody to buy a lot of cameras. And my t-shirt shop here, the merch store, and this inversion table thing like I use to exercise and stretch my back on. So that's on my website too. There's other things on the website that I think are useful. Carnivore Basics is on there, and bunch of stuff about carnivore, but there's a couple paragraphs about the basics of carnivore. That's useful too. So there's also a community forum on here, which I haven't had a whole lot of time to spend in, but a lot of the members are going on there, and it's a private thing, and no search engine reads your posts like they do on all social media. So if you want to talk about stuff privately without starting to get a shitload of advertisements in the mail, in your emails, you can do it. You can do it here, and it's free. Anybody can use it. You don't have to be any kind of private member or anything. It's for everybody that's a viewer of mine. So that's the website. Let me get back to me. There we go. And it's 9:45. I was going to cut it earlier. So I don't know if I missed anything. Whatever I missed, we'll get to again. I hope you all enjoyed it. I mean, we've had over 100 people the whole stream, so that makes me feel good. You know, when you watch that viewer count drop into nothing, you know you're boring the hell out of people. And you guys were great. I'm glad to see you were so active in the chat. Everybody that became a member, a channel supporter, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And especially the retired fat guy. Thanks so much for that. Much appreciated. And I'll tell you what, with that, I'm going to bring up my music. There it is. You know, I never get tired of this song. It's called Book Bag. I just love it. I'll tell you what, we could have some different music to play me out here. We'll do this. I like this one too. Raining in My Heart, it's called. Reminds me of Don Imus, doesn't it? Anyway, guys, thanks so much. Thanks so much for coming. I always enjoy these things. I will look forward. If I missed anybody's question in the chat, I'm sorry. It's just busy. And trying to keep up with it all. Enjoyed having you all here. Hope you enjoyed it. Take the rest of the day off and eat meat.